Friends, I want to tell you today that we have a guest, a man that I respect, a man that we have prayed that he will get an opportunity to be able to come and be with us in this program. And today we have that opportunity. And this particular gentleman that I'm talking to you about is somebody who has been married for the last 25 years. This confirms what we have been sharing, that marriage sincerely and surely works. And I want to just take this opportunity and introduce to you my friend and my co-host today, Reverend Onesmus Weru. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you today.
Pleasure too. Pleasure too.
You know, Reverend, I want to start by when I think about marriage,
yes,
and the challenges that are facing marriage today. I want you to talk to us and just tell us, how have you been able to stay in your marriage for the last 25 years and you are still in love with your wife? For I know your wife and I know your children. Can you share with us maybe some mysteries for longevity of in marriage, or for success in marriage? What are some of the mysteries that you can share with us today so that it can be able to help us even in our marriages, those of us who are behind you?
Well, Reverend Miano, thank you first and foremost very much for allowing me to be a guest in your program.
Yes.
And also to count me one of those people that you will challenge to share and to discuss something. I want to say that every decision you take in life has a price to pay. And first and foremost is the willingness to pay that price.
Wow.
And that price, if you are taking a bride, then there are a few things within marriage line and life for it to be successful, the mysteries and the nuggets of marriage. These things are the ones that we call a price, because you have to pay the price of waiting, losing a few of your freedoms of here and there, being able to be open and transparent to the, so there are a few things here and there. So coming back to your question, the success, the nuggets that have made my marriage successful this far, and I pray that it continues for years, that God will grant us as many as 60, 70, I wouldn't mind. I think it's a great thing. But first and foremost, I would say it's just to keep the covenant.
Yes.
You want to have a wife.
Yes.
The two of you are friends. The two of you, as you are coming together, you are planning to stay together.
Yes.
When you go before the man of God, you even as you are planning your marriage, you know that there will be vows.
Yes.
You will be asked questions. So, first, and the secret number one is to remember that you vowed to one another that I will be with you till death do us part. So there shouldn't be any issue that should come that shouldn't be dealt with properly, because that issue, it is not death by itself. Death means some of you stops breathing and is buried.
Yeah.
So first thing is the commitment to that covenant. And you can't be committed to that covenant if you are not committed to God. Because God says that because of the wickedness and the evils and the burning desires of this world, every man must have a wife, every wife must have a husband. So there is a protection I have when I keep my wife, when my wife keeps me, when we keep our covenant, and we do not think or even plan in our code book, in our vocabulary, divorce, separation, fighting you, I'll kick you. If you do this, I will not stomach it. We do not have those things there. It helps us stay into a marriage. But as I stay into a marriage, I also know it's a win-win. I benefit because I'm having a person, but at the same time, Reverend Miano, I am also being protected from the bashing of this life and the sin and the regret and the wasting of time and all manner of things that go there. So the first critical thing is to keep the covenant, because that is where you began from.
Now, it appears to me now, when you talk about covenant, does it mean that when people get into marriage relationship, what do you mean by covenant? Does it mean we have a different meaning of a covenant? Or what do you mean by a covenant? Because I know, of course, of the biblical covenant between Abraham and God, a Mosaic covenant and a Noahic covenant. What do you mean by this covenant here? Because it appears many people get into this thing, and within a short while, they are having problems and challenges. How have you survived this?
I would call it, a covenant would be, for me, one of the critical, most complicated arithmetical algebra or some kind of thing that 1 + 1 is 1.
Yes.
This is what I mean by the covenant, in the sense that where I work, I'm on contract.
Yes.
After 2-3 years, I can renew the contract if I so wish.
Yes.
Or they can also renew it or withdraw it. So marriage is not like that. Marriage, I enter into it. We are going to have children.
Yes.
We are going to stay together, God willing. We have those children. We do things together. Those are our things. Those things forever, they are supposed to be ours. And forever I will be Onesmus Weru, the husband of Joyce. If I divorce Joyce, it will be Onesmus Weru who divorced so-and-so. There is a lady in the Bible who married a guy called Uriah, and David killed that man, and he took that wife. He became one of the best wives of David. But every time we remember that lady called Bathsheba, we remember, is it Bathsheba?
Yes,
the
Bathsheba.
wife of Uriah. Even when he was still married by David, we still refer the wife of Uriah. So when I divorce, I am still a divorcee. So the actual covenant stays with me whether I fight, whether I do whatever. So to the degree I appreciate that I am actually with somebody for life is to the degree I actually enjoy my marriage. So that has been something in my mind that has been a soothing, comforting, memory.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Reverend, and that's very profound, and that is very, very, very key when you talk about covenant, because now it is evident that covenant is permanent. It cannot be broken. The only thing that can break a covenant is death, and that death has not be a death that one causes. It has to be a death that has come from a natural death or from another source, but not me causing death. It has to be from another source. That is the only way the covenant can be broken. But sometimes I feel like I think the church, are we doing really enough to prepare our young people to understand about now, especially when you talk about covenant? Are we doing enough? Do you say we are doing enough, or what is it that we are doing, especially where you are? What is it we are doing here?
I think we are doing enough, and we could, and maybe we need to do more. But basically, everybody needs to feed themselves with the Word of God. More than anything else. What has happened is we are comparing ourselves with many other secular ways of doing things, nations of the world, people of the world, professionals and whatever, cultures and traditions, and we are failing to know that the Bible is actually the manual and the code book within which you can always refer to how to go to. If you ask me a little bit earlier the secret, and I say it is covenant, and that covenant is something that you are taught in the church. You see it with your father and your mother. If some of us who are not very lucky to have our father and mother staying together up to now, maybe some of them are divorced, whatever, you know the pain. You do.
Sure.
You know the pain of that. So the world has actually taught us. The word covenant and what covenant means stares at us. When I look at my father, when I look at my mother, when I look at the street girl, when I look at the street boy, I can tell the problem is somebody did not take care, because the things within that is to father children, is to parent those children, is to empower those children, is to send them out so that they can also be great fathers and mothers. And so it's a covenant. It's a long-living thing, because if I'm separated, that child that was supposed to be stay in this environment now goes to look for that mother in this other direction, and he stick with this new mother that has come here that is not clearly given definition in the scriptures. So I think that there is a challenge there. But I agree with you.
Thank you, Reb. I really appreciate that. Now, I'm trying to think, because you have shared a very profound truth about covenant. What other nuggets would you highlight about longevity of marriage? What other things would you want to highlight?
For me, that really the things that have stood up very, very clearly for me. Number one is the fact that I would mention many, but one, one is this matter is also a matter of faith.
Yes.
It is not that there is bread and butter, everything is attractive and good and whatever. There is some times that I married this lady and or this lady married this man, and somewhere along the line, for me, I married and I discover something that I didn't even know, and therefore I did not like.
Yes.
And if I knew it before, maybe I could have made a different choice. But since it's a covenant I'm inside, I know how to live with it. So that knowing, it is obeying God. It's wanting to stick there is what I call faith. So it's keeping to the faith, keeping the faith. It's a critical thing. Another big thing I would say is living. You know, the two of us are required by the Bible to live and to cleave. If you live your father, your mother. You leave your people, you leave your understanding, your everything else. You leave those things that are you.
Yes.
It is me time.
Yes.
It is my thing. It is my house. It is my everything. My parents. You leave that place and you cleave. This is the work of the two of you. So the thing that helped me is to know that my wife and myself have now created a new home, a new empire, a new country, a new kingdom. I am not the child of my father.
Let me ask you, Reverend, now that you have mentioned that, I've known some cases whereby you find that a young man marry this lady, and it happens that the lady is coming from a family that is a bit wealthy, so they decide that the young man moves to the lady's home, and they live there with the parents. What would you say about this? Would you recommend that to be
no,
something?
I don't recommend that, and as much as I don't recommend it, sometimes you can really be forced because of some circumstances. You are planning your own money, and that is the way you are saving to get more money. You are staying there a little bit. But when you leave, we mean you leave geographically your parents. You leave them physically from the location.
Yes.
You leave them emotionally.
Yes.
You leave them financially.
Yes.
You leave them. You are independent. The two shall leave and go somewhere and become a new people, a new state, a new territory.
Okay.
So for me, if you, for whatever reason, you have to stay with your parents, whatever, it should be for the reason of wanting to save some little money so that when you leave, you are able to launch yourselves and pitch yourselves properly and be able to stay. But it's not that my parents are rich, I am poor, they have given us a house, you're going to stay here. They're going to give you the house, but the day you don't talk to their life, you realize you are threatened by the fact they're going to kick you out of the house. So your submission is a condition. And it is forced. Forced to humble.
So if I hear you, Reverend, what you are saying is that people need to understand, even those of young people who are getting married, that a marriage, any new couple should be independent. It is a new family entity that has started. And it will be important if, as a new family entity, you can start from number one, you relocate and go to a different place so that you are not under authority of your parents, but you are able to make your own decisions. You as the husband and wife, and you're able to make your own mistakes. And from those mistakes, you're able to learn. I really like this. I really like this, that we need to understand this, that it is important. It's not about the money, but that independence, that moving, what the Bible is saying, that the man should live. It should be geographical, it should be psychological, it should be mental, so that you give your wife room. That's what you meant? You give your wife an opportunity to interact with you, and the two of you, you are able now to develop another new family and bring up your children. Wow.
You must move also from your environment, from your territory, from your comfortable zone. You should also move from that. Because either way, whether the wife is coming to stay with your parents or you are going to stay with the parents of this one, that territory has got its own owners, and it has got expectations. It has a culture. It has a tradition. It is like a religion. There is something they go by. To this place, we don't do things like that. So when you try to mess a little bit, and it's not messing, you are in your own territory. If you want to put to rest and put your leg on the top of the table, your mother will say, "What are you doing here? Excuse me?" And you need, therefore, to move to a point where you are yourself. And so even for me, I would say it's not only the wife or the husband, the both of you should move out, because I saw a program in the TV, Reverend, where somebody was saying, you know, I hear you are not listening to my mother, but my mother here is everything. That was a husband telling the wife, I hear you people are quarreling here, but please understand, but my mother takes precedence. That person has not left. You have to.
It is true.
For the key of my marriage to be successful is because I left my father and my mother. I visit home, both homes. I visit there.
Yes.
And what I do to my very biological father and mother, I do the same to my very parents there, because now they are all parents.
Thank you, Reverend. Now, talk about, because I have seen some people struggling with the churches.
Yes.
So you find that maybe when these young people are coming together, I was going to a different church, and you're going to a different church. And then we come together, and we continue the same. You attend a different church, and I attend a different church. What do you say about that? What do you say about that as far as the unity of the marriage is concerned? Is it healthy that the husband goes to that particular church, this one goes to another particular church, and they're husband and wife? What would you say about that, just to help us a bit?
For me, that's one of the keys. Consistency in the choices you make that they seriously contribute into adding value to your marriage.
Yes.
One of those choices you make are where you go to church. It shapes your belief, your practice. It shapes your ability to network with other people, and it helps the children to understand God and to have friends and whatever. And the more you make that one sporadic, and you keep moving here and there, the more you become a nomad in your parenting. And a nomad in the parenting is the sense that the child does not exactly understand what it is. I lived in one place for 13 years. When I moved, my children were all above 18.
Yes.
When I moved to this new place, I was able to explain to them why I've moved. The attachment they had there was not only friends, but the attachment of the ambience and the pavement and security and walking at night and the garden and everything else. But I was paying rent. But I had to pay rent for so long to stay even in that one neighborhood I had chosen, because I wanted to have friends and people there that will help me be a good parenting. The same thing applies to the church. I want to go to a church that the church has programs that helps me to parent my children. At the age of 5 is different at the age of 9 and 10 and 13. I want a church that has programs from that young age to the age of the teenage, to the young elders and to the elders. If possible, we have a church of the family. Is called Deliverance Church. That's the church of the family. But as they go to get married, they can go to whatever church. But that one church gives them a reference because they grew in it. So for me, one of the key secret, the mystery of a successful long life marriage is actually to choose a church, choose well, and stick there.
You know, Reverend, I am thinking about that, and that to me is also very profound. That you need to make a decision as a husband and wife to stick in one church. And I think what we are also saying is that it is important that if you are going to relocate from one church, you need to agree. And it is not healthy for you to be jumping from church to church. Otherwise, you're going to lose your children along the way.
And you see also, the other thing I wanted to say about that one also, it's not only church. Even professions. There are people who are working in Uganda, in London, in Canada, and they are moving with their families everywhere else. When the child comes to the age of a teenage, he's completely confused about all these cultures. If you are working in this place, you can change jobs. But don't be fond of changing cities and countries and whatever. You will pay the price that you don't want to pay. So the church, the cities, and everything else. For me, I got a scholarship to go to the United States to study masters. And I was going there for 2.5 years. And I made a choice. I said, the sponsors, if you can sponsor my dependents, my wife and my 2 children, will go together. If you can't, then the ministry that is sending me there can support me. But when both the donor and the ministry and myself was not able to do that, for 2.5 years, I decided to forget about masters and continue with my family, because I felt like even staying with your family, there is a certificate you're going to get in masters of staying with your family.
I am hearing something. I'm hearing something. Reverend. You see, somebody said and that you cannot postpone parenting your children. Neither can you delegate parenting your children.
Exactly.
And children are children for a short time.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to ask myself is that I know you're busy. You're a very busy man. All over this world.
Yes.
How have you managed to create time with your family? Because the presence of a dad is very key in a family. If the children are going to be healthy, and since I know your children and they're doing very well as professionals, how have you managed time? How did you balance that?
First and foremost is you to make the choice. You ask me a little bit earlier.
Yes.
If you choose that your church is one church, Deliverance Church, for example, then on Sunday, whenever Sundays you are there, and you'll be surprised there are many Sundays when you're at home, you will be going with them to church.
Sure.
But I know of friends of mine and family, and maybe even our listeners, and you know that the father goes to this church, the mother to this church, the child to this church, the other child to that church.
Wow.
There are so many. Within a very short time, we have to pay for that price. But coming back to creating that time. So one is when you choose those things, you are already creating time. Number two, we choose that every Christmas is a family season.
Wow.
So whatever we are doing together. We move to Mombasa, we move together. We move to see our parents, we move together. We are driving, we drive together. If we are flying, we all fly.
Wow.
We can't afford to fly, we drive.
Wow.
Most of the time, my family knows. I love driving. But the reason I love driving is because we are stuck in this little space here, all of us. So I create time there. I may discover that one of us needs a discussion on a certain area so that we can open up or whatever, or I can understand. And I will start telling my family, in December we shall be going, we shall all be driving, so please be prepared. In the driving, we shall want to have a fellowship. The key, when we drive for those 7 hours going to see our parents, the key would be, tell me why you want to be who you want to be, something like that. I have done that several times.
Wow. Rev, thank you very much for that sharing, and that is a good example. And I believe that has really helped you because you have invested in time. Somebody said that you create time for what you consider to be important.
Absolutely.
I know we are very busy, but if something that you consider to be important, you should create time for us. Also, something else that I'm hearing is that you cannot succeed, your family will not succeed if you are not intentional.
No.
There has to be intentionality.
Absolutely.
There has to be planning. You must do those things. You must be intentional. There is no way a marriage will succeed on autopilot mode.
No.
By default.
No.
In Kiswahili, what comes to me, in Kiswahili we say, ukiona vyaelea vimeundwa. So even marriage, for you to have been in this marriage for 25 years and still continuing strong, then it means that you have planned, you have been intentional, you have invested in it. You have invested in it. Absolutely. It cannot happen. Now, before because I know even in marriage, the thing is this: we are not the same. You find that God brings people who are different temperaments, different personalities, different giftings. And tell us for you, what do you consider? Because this time I want to ask you to tell us what would you consider to be like some of the killers of marriages. Because like today, those old days we were not hearing much of divorces, but today we are hearing divorces. We are hearing so many things. Marriage, there is violence in families. There is husband and wife fighting. What would you consider to be some of maybe killers of marriage?
Absolutely. Well, when you say that, I'm excited to just list a number of things, and I think that would be fair. And honestly, number one, I really want you to know that it would be a killer is ignorance.
Wow.
Just ignorance.
Ignorance.
People are ignorant about their roles and responsibility. The wife is required by God. We are commanded by God that you as a wife or as a girl who wants to be married, your biggest role and calling is to submit and to help. And those words sounds like they are terrible. But let me tell you, even the man, your role and responsibility is actually to lead and to love.
Wow.
If you lead and you love, you will have no problems, issues, because you will lead in the area of money. You will love in the area of money, and this leading and loving is unconditional.
Yes.
Submitting and helping is also unconditional. You don't help because he is good. So those things are critical like that. So the issues that come later on are all working because ignorance is critical. You are ignorant about what God says is the role. When you hear submission, you go to human rights. You go to Beijing Declaration about feminism and all these manner of things. And those things, some of them are critically hitting hard and tearing some of the pages of the Bible. And here you are taking them, and yet they are baseless. The basic thing, first and foremost, that are a killer is to failure. I said a little bit earlier, failure to live your people, failure to live your environment, failure to live and to live with your wife. That's a killer. You are still sticking to your father and your mother. And ignorance is another big thing. Communication. Okay?
Wow.
Communication is another big one. You know, Pastor Reverend, there is a man of God who told me a story. I really laughed. That the lady, the wife kept on telling the husband, I want a car. I want a car. Can you buy me a car? They were all working, but this man, I think he was having a problem of not loving and leading properly, and money was an issue. They all were working a good job. One day, the lady got angry. This pastor was telling me, the lady walked, looked for a good car, bought a car, put it there, outside there, and then the man comes in the evening. Hey, whose car? We have a visitor here. I said, no, why? Whose car is outside there? That's my car. I bought it. I've been telling you to, we buy the car, and you don't seem even to take anything. So please, you can also use, you can borrow me. It's mine, but it's ours. You see, that is now communication. Wow. It is communication. Wow. Yeah. It is something that this lady has been saying. We can buy a car. You sit down as a man. You plan. You lead in that area. You discuss issues. So for me, I would say that would be a critical thing.
You see what I'm hearing, Reverend, is what I'm hearing from you is that then it is important that the husband and wife sit down together and they set their goals.
Absolutely.
So that you decide these are short-term goals, these are our long-term goals, so that now you are moving together. You're moving together so that nobody will surprise the other. Because when I hear that my wife has gone and bought a car and I'm not aware as a husband, I can't even want to imagine what happened after that. What happened? Because that is not a decision. That is not, a car is not a phone. A car is not 10,000 shillings. No. Neither is it 100,000 shillings. You are talking of 1 million shillings. Yes. You are spending a whole 1 million shillings and your spouse is not aware and nobody knows.
That is terrible.
That is quite terrible. That is terrible. Yeah, that is terrible. May the Lord help us. I love what you talked about ignorance. You know, ignorance is white. Ignorance is white. Because here is a man, a young man gets married to this young lady, and number one, the young man does not even understand this lady in terms of the psychology, in terms of the way she communicates, in terms of the way who she is. So this young man does not understand a woman, and even this woman does not understand the man. So they are treating each other like the lady is treating the husband as a woman, and the man is treating this lady as a man. So I'm sure that one will bring problems. Yes, because we are different. What did you say about in terms of the differences between husband and wife in terms of psychology? What can you mention about that?
They say that we are all wired differently and we have different personality traits.
Yes.
Some people can talk a lot. Some people don't talk a lot. Some people are very objective and they want you to meet this and that and there. And what I would like to say that it's a secret thing, and my wife and I have done that, is actually you read different courses about the gaps of a person who is more quiet and more reserved versus the other person is there, so that you are all complementing each other. Because what is funny is that the opposites attract each other. One guy who doesn't talk attracts the one who talks. I mean, the one who talks is annoying the one who doesn't talk, and yet they attracted each other. So what they forget to know, since the opposite attracts each other, then what you do is that you create your own environment where you can can enjoy. When you are going for a retreat in a forest somewhere to plan for your wedding, and you are talking and you are eating on the table, buying food for one another, listening to everybody else, don't forget the secret of those moments. The secret of those moments is you are longing to hear the other person. So for me, I would say that the killer of these things is all those things added together with failing to communicate it to your wife. Because think about quarrels.
Yes.
Quarrels.
Yes.
We quarrel every now and then. People quarrel. But if you decide that we shall fight fair, if you decide we shall just fight, it will kill you. But if you decide we shall fight fair, for example, for me, we can talk and disagree.
Yes.
And we realize this one is sticking to his convictions and direction, and this one is sticking to her conviction and direction. We have just decided, we say that, why don't we talk about that thing later on? You know, it looks like we are all haven't taken control of this matter properly. Why don't we dig a little bit more about that one? Okay, great. Any other subject you can talk about? That's how we destroy that one. And whenever anybody is allowed to call that shot.
So what you are saying is this, Reverend, that even in a healthy marriage, conflicts are inevitable.
In fact, young people, they think that they have more problems when they are young, and there's no issues and quarrels there, and they think that on this other side of the river, where now you are married, there are more problems here. Because on that side of the river, when you are courting and loving with each other, what God of heaven does to everybody, he gives you a heavenly glue. You are just sticking together, even if the guy is ugly, you don't care. The lady, people just stick together. When you cross over, it's like your eyes are open. It's like heaven says now, did you see how did you like it? Please just now, I just want you to be responsible. People in this marriage, take control, take charge of yourself. And I think we, in this other side of the river, that after you cross the wedding and now you are married, you are in your marriage, there are more problems in this side here. Because the problem is, I was free there, I am not free here.
Yes.
I could go and spend my money and visit so and so and talk whatever I want, put whatever clothes I am putting. On this side, it's like I've lost all that because we are agreeing and talking. This guy loves me, this lady loves me, this guy loves this lady when she puts like this. You are embarrassing me as my wife. So you see, there's a lot of talking. So we have more problems on this side, but I like calling them more opportunities.
Yes, actually what I'm hearing, Reverend, about when you talk about the killers, because we are mixing, we're talking about the killers. We realize that what you're saying here is that if I hear you well, that if you're not able to solve conflicts, if you're not able to resolve them,
they will resolve you.
That will resolve you, and they are going to make your marriage to get to what we can call a shipwreck, because you are not resolving conflicts. And we are saying that conflicts are inevitable. They will be there. But we should look at conflicts, if I hear you well, as exams, as tests. So that in a test, you have to pass that exam to go to the next level. So woe unto you if you do not resolve a conflict, because it means you shall repeat that test again, and you shall repeat it again. And if you don't pass it, your marriage is at risk. No wonder, Reverend, your marriage has been able to survive all the challenges, and you have been in this for 25 years, and you are saying, and I believe you, by faith, you'll be able to go all the way, because you have been able to go through all the challenges. Why? Because you have been able to apply biblical principles in your relationship with your wife, creating time for her, going to the same church, resolving conflicts, communicating well, and not hiding things, and being honest and being truthful to her. You know, some people say that you should hide some things so that you don't tell your wife everything, otherwise she may leave you. But according to what we are hearing here is that you don't hide things. Let her know if the finances are low. Let her know the finances are low, and we are doing this and we are believing God, so that together we pray and we move together. So I do want to believe. I want to thank God for the opportunity to be available, Reverend, and to share even about your. I know our time is gone, but just say something about your daughters. Now your daughters are now adults, 24 years. These are big daughters. How have they survived? How are they doing? And how have you been able to for them to develop and to get there? They are even outside the country, some of them. How?
I think, Reverend, two things.
Yes.
One, when you stick with the family at the time of their growing,
Yes.
you are able to give them everything else,
Yes.
and they are able to receive it, and you are able to witness that, and so you remove fear and doubt and
Yes.
and feeling like they cannot do it,
Yes.
to a point where you feel like they can do it, they are ready, they are prepared, and so for me, I would say that I really wanted not to be ignorant about what God says about parenting,
Yes.
and what God says about creating an environment that will make
Yes.
them just
Yes.
catch it instead of me teaching them.
Yes.
And when it came for the time for them to be 18, my first daughter went to the United States
Yes.
to study, to go to university first year
Yes.
at the age of 18.
Wow.
And I released her to go, and I
Wow.
knew,
Wow.
I had no doubt,
Wow.
I have done my part.
Yeah.
May the Lord do the rest. And when
That
she
is-
went there, she
Yes.
thrived. She became out, she kept her faith, she kept her fellowship, and she kept her grades. She came out as the best student, and she was actually the valedictorian. She was one
Wow.
who, when they were graduating, she was top of
Wow.
in her university.
Wow. Wow.
And not only that, she wanted to come back home.
Yes.
So number two thing is that when they have become adults, our work is to coach them. Our work is to discuss with them. Our ask is to ask them, what should we do? Where should we go? Why should we go to different churches? This thing, even now, one of the things we are discussing right now is the issue of churches. I am telling them that my church was Presbyterian, and that's where my father grew and my mother. But they never were not able to help us to stay there. We ran away because they were talking Kikuyu, and my friend was a Turkana. So I felt terrible, and that's why I left. So I'm asking them, that's why I left my
Yes.
Presbyterian. Why are you wanting to leave my church? Some other thing. And they are telling me some things. I'm telling them, what are the benefits of living?
Yes.
I am enjoying this. What are the benefits of staying? I'm enjoying this. What are the benefits long term? These are short term. What's the long? Is this short term serving the long term? And we are discovering short term is not serving the long term. We shall have, when I die, I'll have 5 pastors having an opinion because they are all having different churches. And so, and whereas sometimes that's okay, but when you have your own church at home, the family church takes precedence of the major things. So for me, is that I negotiate. I stopped parenting them and telling them and sweet talking them and bribing them here and a little bit here and there to a point where we are negotiating. And when we vote no, okay.
Thank you, Reverend, for your time. You know, I wish you had more time to talk about parenting, because you know what I'm hearing from you is that number one, as a parent, I should be conscious of the stages that my children are going through, so that when they are children, when they are young and they are below 7 years, I treat them in a certain way. When they get to 12 years, a certain way. When they get to 18 years, so that I don't control them even when they are adults. And I also give them opportunity to make mistakes, because I can't imagine releasing your daughter at 18 to go to the US. To study there. That's such a big risk. That shows me a lot of faith and a lot of trust. And sure enough, your daughter went and she succeeded there. And so I want to really appreciate you, Reverend. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the nuggets that you have given us about marriage and how our marriages are able to survive even the challenges of the day because of sticking to biblical principles, because of aligning ourselves to what the Word of God says. And if you do that, you can be assured that your marriage is going to last. It doesn't matter what is happening out there. It doesn't matter what the world is saying. It does not matter what the papers are saying and what the people are writing in magazine. If you stick by what the Word of God says, and if you are faithful to this Word of God, you as a husband and a wife, your marriage is going to weather the challenges of the day, and your marriage is going to be successful. Your marriage will last. We want to say again, marriage works. And we want to pray for you. Those of you who are married, and maybe you are going through some challenges with your husband or with your wife, or maybe you are going through challenges with your children, I would want to request Reverend Weru just to whisper a prayer, a short prayer to you, because I believe that it is important for the servant of God to pray for you so that God can be able to intervene in your situation and give you a solution to the glory and to the praise of your name. Reverend, why don't you pray shortly for families?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I'd love to do that. Our God and Father, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we look to you because your word has it all, and you desire us to be very successful. We have been challenged by the knowledge and the opinions all over the world, but your word has stood the test of time.
Oh, yes.
I pray for the men and women in marriage and planning to start their families, that God, there will be the grace to enjoy the keys of long, successful marriages and to avoid the marriage killers and the pitfalls, because your grace is there for all of us to pay the price of the decision to stay in the family and to raise a godly family.
Oh, yes.
We desire that desire is coupled with the decision that such and such behaviors and decisions are not part of our code book, is not part of our vocabulary, is not part of our life. We shall fight to stay together. We shall fight to honor God and to stick with God. May that be what they are. For those who are married, bless them, and may their marriage be a truly a success. And those who are coming together, help them to create that environment intentionally. In Jesus' name.
Amen.